Emmett Silk!
My name rang out in the capital, the caller's voice resounding around the foyer. I could hardly pretend to not have heard, alas, and thus turned my face to my pursuer. I had been so close to escaping. The voice belonged, as I knew it would, to a white-robed youth of small stature who was hastening across the hall. His red mask marked him out as one of the convocation of 14, Elidibus.
Do you know of the volcano we'll be discussing at the next session?
I know that we are due for some pyrotechnics. According to the reports circulated among the convocation, there had been unusual ethereal activity on an isolated volcanic isle, which is to say, an eruption was forthcoming. The island had one village upon it and a wealth of fertile farmland, all of which would soon be lost. But that was simply the way of the world. As in many such cases, our role was to merely acknowledge the fact. The islanders would do the same, and those who deemed it prudent had likely already begun to move elsewhere. While it was true that the convocation intended to discuss the matter, the conclusion would be no less inevitable. But then why had Elidibus approached me?
Well, Azem went there, and is resolved to stop the eruption.
How?
You have heard of Ifrita, yes? The fire spirit?
Lahabrea's masterwork. An impressive concept even for him.
It truly is incredible.
Ifrita. A manifestation of concentrated fire ether. I could see what Azem was planning. Transform the volcano's ether into Ifrita, draw her away, and then destroy her elsewhere. This would safely disperse the excess. Of course, the plan required someone to procure the concept of Ifrita for Azem. But if that someone was not Lahabrea himself, who else could it be? As everyone knew, concepts were stored in the Bureau of the Architect, and not all could be readily removed for personal use. The chief of the Bureau, however, could grant access as he pleased. Who else indeed? I pictured my friend cheerfully sending Azem off to battle without a second thought. If things got out of hand, Azem could be censured again.
But I'm sure that won't happen. Not with your help.
Very well. But are you certain it is wise for the emissary to ally himself with so divisive a figure?
Oh, I'm not. I'm simply giving Azem's opinion on the matter equal weight. The rest of the 14 have yet to reach a verdict, after all.
On this point, I could not argue, though I wasn't particularly inclined to agree. Before we parted ways, however, I couldn't resist asking one more question. Did you happen to find out why Azem is so keen on preventing this eruption?
If I recall correctly, the grapes grown on that isle are particularly delicious. Or so Azem said. They must be truly remarkable.
Indeed. I couldn't bring myself to shatter his faith. I did, however, vow to treat my friends to a lecture on priorities.
Azem has an ever-refreshing perspective.
That's the sort of person Elidibus was, eager to fulfill his duty. He also respected and admired the convocation more than any other. To many of us, he was a younger brother of sorts, And when it became clear that he was the most suitable candidate for Zodiac's heart, it mattered not how strong our resolve. There was none among us who did not waver.
Fear not. You will make the right choice, and I will see it through.
How long had passed since then, I did not care to remember. In any case, my role as Solus Zoscalvus, founder of an empire, had concluded, and I was drifting. I thought I might settle down for a nice, peaceful nap in the rift for a century or so. It would serve to rinse away the cloying residue of Solus, whose body I had left back in the source. One should not remain perpetually in character. Not that there was much point in me retaining my sense of self. I had thought more than once that it would be easier simply to have done away with it and discard my real form altogether. Yet, given the state of the other two unsundered, some part of me was convinced that if I remained stubborn, a reason more compelling than hollow sentiment would come along eventually. Again. Though the voice was the same as the one which had ambushed me in the capital so long ago, it sounded as if it belonged to another person entirely. Perhaps it did. For us, death was not the end, but gone. Lahabrea's boldness had only grown with the passing of ages, segueing inevitably into recklessness. Across many vessels and many worlds he blazed his trail, each mad leap forward leaving him that much more broken. Not satisfied with having brought about the seventh umbral calamity, he labored needlessly to prolong it. I opened my eyes to take in my brother's face, but the lips visible below his mask bore no expression. Would he never again show what he felt for us, as he once had so readily? Were those very sentiments long lost?
What is it, Emet-Selch?
Nothing. I was only thinking how similar Lahabrea was to his creations.
His creations?
I had little difficulty reading Elidibus's uncertainty this time. He couldn't remember. If his clenched fist were any indication, he shared my conclusion. Yet another part of him had been lost. Ever since the day he had reappeared to us as the embodiment of hope, time's tide had conspired to wash away what bits and pieces remained of the person he once was. Will you not look at your crystal?
I am Elidibus. So long as I remember my duty, that is enough. Aught else I would only lose again in the course of this timeless struggle. And if these memories are truly so precious, pray do not ask that I forget them twice.
On this point too I couldn't argue, though again, I could hardly agree.
I make for the source, to put an end to the one who laid Lahabrea low. Sounds like a real hero. No match for you, in other words. We must always prepare for the worst. If we are to succeed, you must resume your efforts as well.
I was half inclined to tell him I preferred to sleep, But of course he was already gone, leaving me alone in the darkness. That was the last time I ever saw Elidibus. And now my charms are all overthrown, and what strength I have's mine own, which is most faint as is my breath, that quavers here at brink of death. 'Twas ever my fate to wager all, for that which wrought my brother's fall, and thus the ether beckons me to depths of black eternity, to dream of things long lost and gone, and futures which might yet be won, though not by me, lest you mistake, for others wait the stage to take. And while their worth is far from sure, I bid the falling curtain pause. Let encore be my final word, their epilogue to death preferred.